I was human trafficked. Ask me anything. Jesus. Following episode contains descriptions of
What makes you
sensitive subject.
happy?
Hey, I was reading. Some matters such as sexual abuse and assault. Viewer discretion advised.
What makes you happy?
Life. I'm grateful for every day.
Oh, that hit. Sorry, I'm like kind of getting emotional in this interview, just because I've been through like a rape situation, and so I'm really thankful that you're sharing your story because I feel like a lot of people need to hear about this, and I really appreciate you just for speaking out.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. What a warrior you are. Look at you.
If you were alone in a room with someone who was human trafficked, what would you ask?
How many
probably
abusers
nothing.
did you have?
Was there ever a point where you thought this was going to be forever?
Did you try to seek help from anyone?
Hello, I'm Madison. What's your name?
I'm Jay. It's nice to meet you, Madison.
Nice to meet you.
How did it happen?
So I became homeless after I left home to escape some abuse at the hands of an extended family member. And I befriended some
Jesus.
people who seemed like wonderful people. And then these two gentlemen began speaking to me about selling sex as a way of making a living. I rejected their offers because I was only a teenager, and later those two men came and took me and put me in the trunk of the car and drove off into the night. And that was the
Well,
beginning
that's
of my
terrifying.
exploitation.
How old were you when this happened?
Yeah, so I was 16 years old when I first was
Christ.
exploited, and then I wasn't able to get out of my trafficking experience until after I was 17.
How many abusers did you have?
Well, I had two main traffickers, and then as far as the people who purchased me, which would be the folks who abused me day in
Bro,
and day out,
what
I
is
had over
wrong with people, dude?
24,000 buyers. The age range of the men who bought me would be
Huh?
anywhere from their early 20s up into like elderly men. But the typical age of a buyer is a middle-aged white male, usually with a six-figure income.
What kind of abuse did you endure during your time?
I mean, there was really all kinds of abuse. There was, of course, sexual abuse, physical abuse, psychological abuse. A lot of it was just also unpredictable. So you might have gotten paid with change, and I would give the change over to the trafficker, and then suddenly change is not acceptable, and now I'm being beaten with the change inside of a pillowcase to let me know not to ever take change again. And then the next night, I turned down a buyer who has change, and then I would get beaten because I didn't accept money. So it was really all about keeping us confused.
How was your living condition during the time they kept you?
Our living conditions were terrible. We lived in a terrible apartment, had literal mold covering all of the walls. We had no furniture except for one bed, but you couldn't sleep in the bed. We also weren't allowed food or water. We weren't allowed to pick out our own clothing. We weren't allowed to bathe. We didn't have towels, soap, toothbrushes. We had nothing.
Was there ever a point where you thought this was going to be forever? And what got you through day by day?
Yeah, so I thought every single day that this was going to be forever. And so I really just lived moment to moment. I frequently dissociated. That was probably one of the biggest savers for my brain. I am very grateful for my ability to dissociate and remove me from situations that would have otherwise broke me mentally.
Did you try to seek help from anyone?
So I did not try to seek help
I mean, who are you
while
gonna
I was
seek
being
help from?
trafficked. One, because they had drilled it into our heads that if we went to the police that we would be arrested because we were criminals, we were prostitutes.
What do you think about the people who paid or got access to you through the traffickers? Do you think they knew what was going on, and what do you think they were doing there?
I don't think that all the buyers were aware I was being trafficked, though a lot of them did ask questions about my pimp, so they definitely knew that I was under somebody else's control and that my profits would be going to another person. Any buyer who wants to help you, that just means that they
Or,
want
like,
to take you home.
What
and
even
make you their
makes
personal
someone do
slave,
this? Like,
and that didn't really seem like a good idea. As far as what I think about buyers, it takes a certain level of entitlement whatever is going on in their life, whether it's under the guise of being lonely or having sex as a quote unquote need versus what it actually is it's a want. You know, air and water and food are a need. They give themselves permission. So to objectify and dehumanize me on that level in order to make me an object of pleasure for them, that's not somebody who I can have empathy or sympathy for.
How do you feel about sex work?
So I personally do not believe that sex work is work. I think the lowest statistic that I read was 87% of people who are in exploitation, even if they're choosing to be there, that they feel trapped and there is not a way out, and so they continue. And if somebody feels trapped, is that really consent? If somebody would rather say no, is that consensual? And are we okay with that?
How did you escape?
Good take.
So we would frequently move hotels and hotel rooms, and a hotel employee saw this group of young girls getting in a car with these two older gentlemen, thought something didn't seem right, and so they contacted law enforcement. Unfortunately,
I know
the
you
state
work
that
there,
I was
though.
in
Most people, I
is
feel like, would
one
just
of
look the other way.
half of the states that charge children with prostitution. So even though I was abducted and trafficked, the police arrested me. I was arrested and charged with prostitution and aggravated money laundering for taking money from the buyers and giving it to my traffickers.
Or why do you get charged? That's so weird.
Offer any resources to help you or anything, or?
No.
How long were you in prison?
Yeah, so I was held for 40 days in this maximum security facility. My two traffickers each served 10 days for their crimes. They took plea deals. My main abductor, the one who I spent the most time with, he has never been to prison.
Welcome to America,
He is not
dude.
a
What
registered
is
sex
that?
offender, as he is not seen as a danger to the community.
Oh my gosh. When
What?
you returned and you were able to come home, how did your family and friends react or treat you?
So my family didn't learn the true story about what had happened until after I learned the true story of what had happened, because this wasn't something that I recognized. When you're a child and you have traffickers that are painting the illusion that you're making choices, and then to be arrested, and then to be labeled and to serve time, all of those things told me that I was a perpetrator and not a victim. So when I came home, what I came home to was a family who believed that I was a criminal. And so I was treated as very lucky to have a space to even come to after what I had decided to do. And so it wasn't until I had gone through a pretty significant amount of therapy that I could speak to my parents about it.
Do you find yourself like a lot more hyper aware of your surroundings today compared to before?
I am very hypervigilant because I was taken after a knock on the door. If somebody knocks on my door, I don't answer it. Like to this day, I don't even get up. I'm not even the least bit curious about what's on the other side of that door.
Now that you have some perspective and it's been years since it's happened, would you consider yourself a victim or a survivor?
Both.
Both?
I am
what is
not
that
ashamed
question?
of being a victim. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I was a victim of two people who purposefully perpetrated these crimes against myself, and I am also a survivor because I'm not currently in that situation, and I can speak to the other side of what it's like to come out of that situation.
If you can write a letter to yourself from that time, from the beginning, what would you write and how would you encourage that version of you, that part of you?
I think really just recognizing that
What is that
wasn't my
question?
fault. Even to this day, I still have a hard time having empathy for little me. But then when it comes to old me, when I think about me, when I don't have physical control of my body, when once again I am at the mercy of other people, that scares the heck out of me. And so I try to hold empathy and space for young me, and then I really think about encouraging the older version of myself who's going to have all of these triggers and a real loss of control.
This is very special to me to be able to talk with you. I was assaulted some years ago, so I can't even comprehend.
Life. I mean, I shouldn't be alive. I'm grateful for every day.
Oh, that hit. Sorry, I'm like kind of getting emotional in this interview. Just because I've
Favorite part about life today?
I mean, really all of it. I love my life now so much. I have an insane amount of friends, and
I feel like she has really
my
good perspective
children
now.
are
I feel like a
the
lot of people
coolest
don't have
I
that.
have ever met. I don't know why I'm so lucky. Being seen for myself, you know, for the first time in this phase of my life, it's just such a gift. It's such a gift to feel genuine love for who I am.
Wow. I'm happy that it's over for you and you get to like live your life, and I'm here for you and I can't wait to meet you on the other side.
You did amazing.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Interesting.
Talking about this stuff.